we're going to show you an example of how instant runoff voting would work to elect a council member in Memphis. With instant runoff voting, also known as IRV, your vote can be shuffled from one candidate to another after each recount, or even discarded and not counted at all, depending upon how you filled out your ballot. In some IRV elections, there have been over 30 different candidates, but in this example we will use 4 so you can easily follow along. We have Patrice, Steve, Joe, and Jamita. Each of them have areas of town where they are quite popular. Patrice has lots of support in the Whitehaven neighborhood. Steve is popular at the university. Joe has support in North Memphis, and the voters in Orange Mound like Jamita. To find a winner using the IRV mathematical algorithm, you drop the candidate with the lowest votes and move their votes to the second-ranked candidate. In this case, Jamita is dropped, and her votes are moved to Joe. So now Joe has 80 votes, Steve has 60, and Patrice has 70. Steve now has the lowest number of votes, so he is removed, and his votes get shuffled to Patrice. Now Patrice has 130 votes, and she is the winner in this IRV example. Let's look at another example. With IRV, they say you should reach out beyond your base to get more support. Patrice thought the voters in Orange Mound really didn't know her well, so she spent a lot of time going to the churches, the farmers' markets, neighborhood meetings, and knocking on doors. She campaigned very hard to get the support of Orange Mound. She let voters know that they could select Jamita second, and it worked. She was now their first choice, with Jamita second, Joe third, and now Steve in last place. Now that Patrice has more votes, let's see how IRV helped her. Joe has the lowest number of votes, and he is dropped, and so his votes are transferred to Steve. Steve now has 110 votes and wins the election. So what happened? This is all due to how your votes are moved around. Patrice worked harder to get more votes and lost using IRV. Steve got more last place votes and won using IRV. With IRV, you can lose by getting more votes. And with IRV, it's no longer one person, one vote. This actually happened in a real IRV election in Aspen, Colorado. It was reported that an analysis of the IRV election results showed that if just 75 people who had voted for their favorite candidate as their first choice instead voted for him as your second choice, he would have won. Because this candidate got more votes, he lost. 70% of the voters voted to use IRV, but just 3 years later, voters overwhelmingly repealed IRV. The article states, after seeing the system in action, those voters changed their minds. A small number of cities have experimented with instant runoff voting, while many have repealed it. Here's a partial list of cities that have repealed instant runoff voting or rejected it. Memphis has been ground zero for civil rights, and it is important that your vote counts.